Public Investment in Cozumel 2026, Central Kiosk Project, San Miguelito Plant Capacity, and Field Reports. The Municipal Development Planning Committee, CO Platamun, of Cozumel approved modifications to the annual investment program for fiscal year 2026. The technical agreement establishes the distribution of a budget ceiling of 214 million pesos, composed of local tax revenues and federal funds such as the Municipal Social Infrastructure Contributions Fund, FISMUN, and the Municipal Strengthening Contributions Fund, FORTAMUN. Among the public works validated by the local administration, the construction of a new kiosk in Benito Juarez Park, located in the city center, stands out. The allocation of these financial resources coincides with an ongoing public debate regarding basic infrastructure priorities on the island. Local residents and sectors of the foreign residential community have expressed their opposition to prioritizing urban infrastructure projects over the conditions of the sanitary drainage system and the operation of the San Miguelito Wastewater Treatment Plant, WWTP. Community members have questioned the allocation of public spending, pointing out the contradiction of seeking to improve the image of the tourist zone while structural deficiencies persist in the water and sewerage services of residential areas. Added to this discussion is the data presented by the civil organization Selvame MX, which filed a public complaint regarding alleged spills of raw sewage from the San Miguelito facilities. According to field reports presented by the group's technicians, the fluid runoff advances towards mangrove areas and impacts the Ciega Lagoon, a body of water located in the northern portion of Cozumel. The organization argued that the lack of comprehensive sanitation has led to a normalization of environmental degradation in these conservation areas. The civil group supported its complaint with video records documenting the presence of greenish water accumulations, areas of dead vegetation, and the emanation of sewer gases in the vicinity of the treatment center. Furthermore, the organization's researchers reported that laboratory analyses applied to water samples collected at the site revealed concentrations of pollutants that exceed regulatory limits, specifying the presence of fecal coliforms, Escherichia coli, E. coli bacteria, as well as high nitrogen and phosphate levels. Selvame MX questioned the fact that, despite Cozumel registering the receipt of 241 million pesos during the first quarter of 2025 specifically for sanitation, the hydraulic facilities continue to discharge surplus liquids into the coastal ecosystem. In response to these accusations, the head of the Drinking Water and Sewerage Commission, CAPA, of the state of Quintana Roo, Hugo Garza Saez, rejected the civil organization's claims. The state official maintained that personnel from the National Water Commission, CONAGUA, carried out a technical inspection tour of the area and ruled out the existence of operational failures or spills linked to the San Miguelito plant. Additionally, the agency reported that the treatment complex is located 1.7 kilometers away from the edge of the mangrove zone, arguing that this geographic separation prevents direct contact between the plant's processes and the region's flora. From a technical and historical perspective, state authorities recalled that in 2025, the San Miguelito plant underwent an expansion and modernization project with an investment exceeding 210 million pesos. The objective of this work, executed after 4 decades without interventions of that scale in the facilities, was to double the infrastructure's processing capacity, raising the catchment limit from 110 to 230 liters per second. However, reports of saturation in the sewerage networks of the island's downtown neighborhoods indicate that the volume of wastewater generated by demographic density and commercial activity continues to pressure the operating margins of the pumping system. The sanitation problem in the municipality is part of a broader, state-level infrastructure context. CAPA's official statistics acknowledge that a total of 441,343 citizens lack sewerage and sanitation service coverage in the territory of Quintana Roo. To provide this service, the state relies on a network of 30 wastewater treatment plants. Of this total, 12 operational complexes are directly administered by CAPA. 3 structures, originally operated by the National Fund for Tourism Development, FONATUR, in the Benito Juarez municipality, were transferred to the State Secretariat of Tourism under the coordination of the Quintana Roo Tourist Infrastructure Institute, INFRATUR, while the remaining facilities are concessioned to the company Aguacom. The information provided by CAPA details that the overall installed capacity in the state allows for the processing of 3,059 liters per second, compared to a current average inflow of
hizo un llamado a las
2,039 liters
autoridades
per
para que lo
second.
más pronto
Based on
posible
these
se pueda
metrics,
colocar
the
un
authority
muro de
argues there is an
contención
available
para por
volume
lo
margin
menos
for receiving
evitar que el
fluids.
mangle siga muriendo
Nevertheless,
por las
foreign
aguas
residents
negras
and
que están
long-stay visitors
rebosando
in
del
Cozumel
cárcamo San
evaluate the local
Miguelito que ya
situation
no
directly in
funciona,
their daily
declaró.
environments.
Y estamos al
For the
punto
floating
de
population and
olvidarnos de
overseas
todo.
citizens residing on
Ir
the
a
island, the presence of leaks and surfacing wastewater on public roads represents a factor that negatively impacts livability indices, public health standards, and the preservation of the marine ecosystems that sustain the diving tourism economy and the provision of tourist services. Cozumel's subsoil, characterized by a geological formation of highly permeable limestone rock, facilitates the rapid infiltration of liquids from the surface into the common aquifer. Hydrogeology specialists point out that any uncontrolled discharge interacts directly with the Federal Maritime Terrestrial Zone, ZOFAMAT, and the adjacent coral reef ecosystems. The tracking of the 2026 Annual Investment Program's construction projects in the city center and the verification of the San Miguelito plant's operational conditions remain under constant monitoring by the island's civil groups and neighborhood committees.